I still think Barcelona could end up the champions. I think they're my favourites still. But it's brilliant to see this race. It's really brilliant for Spanish football across multiple competitions. And who'd put it past them? Obviously, one of these three teams from having success in the Champions League this year might not just be Real Madrid, might be somebody else.
We've had a great week in the Copa del Rey, particularly that Barca-Atletico game, which was utter madness, as we just saw there. Now it's all eyes back on the captivating title race for the weekend. Which way will the pendulum swing? Ian, how do you think those midweek games in the Copa del Rey, particularly that 4-4 game between Barca and Atletico Madrid, will affect the weekend? Will there be any kind of hangover?
I mean, especially from that Barcelona-Atletico Madrid game, a 4-4 game, and how much energy was probably consumed in a match like that. Yes, I would say that there will be some sort of a hangover for both Atleti and both, obviously, Barcelona. But I do think that Real Madrid played somewhat in second gear. They didn't necessarily express themselves to the 100% of their potential. They rotated the lineup. Kylian Mbappe was missing because of his tooth. I mean, I think that Real Madrid probably took this, understandably so, very seriously, but understanding that LaLiga was coming up, it was a massive weekend for them. Just get a result against Real Sociedad and then go to that second leg. It's just unfortunate we got to wait 5 weeks now for those second leg fixtures, because that Barca game was a banger.
We've had some weekends or match weeks where it's kind of an auto 3 points for all three of these sides and doesn't change too much in the picture. But when you look at the games this weekend, we've got Atletico against Athletic Club, Real Betis versus Real Madrid, and then Barca hosting Real Sociedad. None of those, you would say, are easy 3-point wins. No, they're not. I mean, we could go down game for game as to where the advantage is going to be for some teams, where the disadvantage is going to be, where we potentially could see that biggest slip-up. Actually, if you look at all three of these games, you could say that there could be a slip-up in all of them. Maybe if I was leaning to one team having an advantage, it would be Barcelona with their game against Real Sociedad. Sociedad are crap on the road. They've scored 8 goals away from home. Difficult to score goals against, but they're still not good enough and certainly not up to Barcelona standards. But I think Atletico Madrid against Athletic Club is an absolute wonderful game of two teams that are undefeated for such a long period of time. Especially Athletic Club, they're on this remarkable run now where nobody's beaten them. They're finding it very difficult to score goals against them. And now you're going against Atletico at the Metropolitano. This is going to be a big game, and a big game I think Atletico Madrid will take incredibly serious, because they know they win that game, they've got a real opportunity of winning a La Liga title. Their squad, in my opinion, is built for multiple competitions. The rotation has been excellent so far. You saw the impact from the bench, Adam, against Barcelona. They could do it again this weekend. We talked about the hangover from the Copa del Rey games in midweek, but also they've got the small matter of the Champions League games to look forward to next week. Does that have an impact on the title race this weekend as well? It can do, but I still think that you've got to somewhat try to take this seriously. This is a La Liga title. It may not be won this weekend, but it can be lost. Right? If you start a trend of losing a game and lose momentum, then all of a sudden a La Liga title can be gone, because every single one of those three are taking this very seriously. So the Atletico Madrid game, as I pointed out, against Athletic Club, they're on, what, a 16-game unbeaten run right now across consecutive matches. So for Atletico Madrid, it's a difficult one. For Real Madrid, obviously, going up against Real Betis, difficult place to go play. They do have Antony in fine form, Real Betis. He's now no longer suspended for that game. He can play in that game. But it looks like Real Madrid will rotate their team once again, bring back the big boys. They'll have Kylian Mbappe with his, 17 La Liga goals and 28 goals across all competitions, back to be able to go to bed against Real Betis. I see the class above there, so I think Real Madrid can get the victory. But I do think if there's one game I will be keeping my eye on for that potential slip-up, it's going to be Atletico Madrid. I want to see they could rotate. I want to see them have success. I do believe they're built for this. But Club are on a big run right now. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. I suppose strictly on the title race, let's make the case, shall we, for all three teams. What have they got to get right to win the La Liga title? Let's start with Real Madrid. Well, Real Madrid, obviously, Champions League is a priority for them. So I think the other two teams have an advantage there. And Atletico Madrid, they're built, as I mentioned a moment ago, for multiple competitions. Copa del Rey, they have the advantage there because they can rotate 5 weeks now before they have that home tie against Barcelona. I think Real Madrid go into this game knowing that Kylian Mbappe coming back, keeping him for big games. If he plays in this game, he's going to turn up, and keeping him healthy is going to be important. Do you get opportunity to have Vinicius Jr., who captained the side for the first time in Copa del Rey, actually adding to the goals in La Liga now? I want to see more productivity from him. I want to see Rodrigo continue this fine form. So I think quality is there with Real Madrid to have success across multiple competitions if they can stay healthy. But rotation-wise, Atletico Madrid have an advantage for me. The squad is built for multiple competition. Barcelona, on the other hand, are just in fine form right now. I thought the performance, obviously, they
they should never have thrown that first leg away and ended up 4-4 against Atleti. But I do love the fact that Hansi Flick has got this team really purring at the right time across multiple competitions. Champions League game coming up for them is going to be a tough one, though.
Is their youthfulness and their fearlessness, although it's a great advantage, could it also be their Achilles heel?
It can be, because obviously the youngsters don't quite know how to handle multiple games when they're thrown upon it. And you've got to deal with Benfica coming up. We all know how crazy that Benfica game was in the group stage. It was absolutely wild, and that game's going to be crazy again. You've got Atlético Madrid coming up after that second leg, and in between you've got Osasuna and, of course, against Sociedad at home this weekend. I think sometimes with the youngsters, though, Adam, it can benefit you because they don't realise how big each game really is. They've never been in this position before, so dealing with multiple competition, I think Hansi Flick does it incredibly well, where he just gives confidence to these young players to go play. I remember when Hansi Flick was in charge of Bayern Munich and they played against Barcelona in the later stages during the COVID Cup, remember the Champions League, and they absolutely humiliated them. And for me, I think Hansi Flick is the right guy to push this team forward. I still think Barcelona could end up the champions. I think they're my favourites still. But it's brilliant to see this race. It's really brilliant for Spanish football across multiple competitions. And who'd put it past them? Obviously, one of these three teams from having success in the Champions League this year might not just be Real Madrid, might be somebody else.
And just finally, 1 point behind, we find Atletico, maybe at the moment the one with the least high-level opportunity to win this, but you wouldn't put it past Diego Simeone springing a surprise. If they're going to do it, what's he got to get right? Fabulous
at home, obviously, for them. They need to do a bit better away from home. I know they're unbeaten away from home. He has to get his rotation right, timing right of substitutions. Clearly, we saw the impact from Sorloth. He's been absolutely fabulous. And the goals that they have had from substitutes this year in LaLiga, across multiple competitions, not just LaLiga, it's really insane. So I think that if he gets his timing right with his substitutions, team selection right, he has every opportunity of winning multiple trophies, not just one trophy. Atleti, I wouldn't be surprised if they won La Liga. I wouldn't be, just because of the way the squad's been put together, the style of football that he's playing. Simeone right now is much more attractive than we've been so used to seeing with him in previous generations. And he's got a squad of talented players right now who are looking to make some noise. So watch out Real Madrid, obviously it's a big one. And then, of course, watch out Barcelona as you go into the title race in Copa del Rey.
As we sit here right now, who's winning it?
I'm going to say that Barcelona win it in La Liga. I do think they win it, and that'll be the only trophy they win this year. But I've got a feeling Atleti do something. How did I just say that?
Yeah, there's going to be plenty more twists in the tale from now until the end of the season. It certainly has been intriguing.